See what this sounds like. Make sure we are good to go. Just gonna do a quick little mic check. Make sure everything is good. Do a mic check and then we'll get started. I'll work on our portfolio site today. Make sure we're all good. I hope everyone is doing pretty good today. Give another minute before I jump in. Set it up. Hello, hello. Everyone's doing well. That should take care of that. That keeps rolling. Hope everyone's doing well. Open this up a little bit. Do it right here so we can. All right, so I'm going to jump in and get started. I hope everyone is doing well today. What we're looking to get accomplished is spend a little bit of time building out our portfolio website that we deployed. So basically what I have in a prior video, I'm going to start a series where I take you through the process of getting an application out on the web, how to update it, stage it, make your commits to Git, and be able to see what you build in production and also in development. So just to kind of give you a quick recap of what we have, it is a Nextjs application that is containerized using Gitpod. And what we've done is we've just deployed it out on the web. And from there, last episode, I just did a little bit of testing to make sure that I can make changes and updates and it show up adequately in the project or on the internet, excuse me, and it does. So we're going to work primarily in development first, just to make sure that it looks good. And then once we like the finished product, I'll push it using the git commands and get it out on the web. And I'll be able to use that as an initial portfolio website when I'm ready to start, or whenever I want to start sharing it with potential employers. So to kind of kick us off, let's just go ahead. This is development, as you can see, and then in the production environment, I have it right here. But I'm going to focus on development first, and then once we have the portfolio site up, I'll worry about pushing it to Git at that point. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and begin by going into the page.tsx. And prior to this was just a test in a prior video. So I'm just going to remove all of this because we no longer need it. And I'll replace that main tag with a new one. We'll save this. Update Gitpod. We'll just restart the server. Go. Just test something else. Refresh that. Okay. And if I remove it, save it. All right, it's back to being real time. Just want to make sure it was not going to require anything else. Otherwise, that could have been pretty time consuming. So let's do this to begin with. To folders, lib post actions. We can delete this. And we can delete the local database. Matter of fact, we can delete the whole lib folder for right now. Data. This was the local database. So we're going to remove that. All right, and just start with a simple home page. So first, let me make sure that, yep, the HTML body, root, and app are all set appropriately. I think what we'll do next is add a directory named components. We'll go portfolio. This is going to store the portfolio items, and I'll also add a directory name. In portfolio, the first folder will be dashboard, and we'll turn this into our own CMS, if you will, where we dynamically add things through the dashboard and it'll automatically update on the home page. And then we'll also have we'll call it client folder. One will be private to us and we'll add authentication in an upcoming video. The other will be public, where users have the ability to see this information and interact with our website as they deem appropriate. So within the client directory, we'll need quite a few folders, but I'm not going to necessarily worry about all of them for right now. But I think starting out, what we'll do is we'll start top down by building the layout, the component, header, footer, all of that good stuff. But first, let's build out the structure of this website. So ultimately what I want to accomplish is I like to have a grid layout of the site. Let me see something. This will be the desktop. I have a column on the left that's going to represent my information, and on the right will be all of the information about me. It's going to basically be an online resume, and we'll come back in and add in quite a few features with it. But today I just want to build the structure of the UI, and we'll add a lot of the functionality later. But first, we'll just build a column on the left, and then on the right we'll have all of our content. On the left we'll start with my name, my educational background or experience, job reference or jobs that I've held, and I may have another section or add on to it. Basically what I'm going to do, what's going on, man? How you doing? What I'm looking to accomplish is have my resume online, so it won't be a whole lot of coding related things as it relates to my resume. It'll list a couple of freelance things I've done, and I'll provide more details to a potential employer if someone were to ask, but not necessarily made public. And then I'll also have the ability for anyone to download a copy of this if they wish to, or I could provide it to them through this link. But to kick us off, let's start by building out the structure first. So within this main tag, let's add a class name. And I think what we'll do first is we'll go MX auto so that the margins are set to auto on the left and the right. We'll set the max width to be screen extra large. We'll set the min height to be screen. And just to make sure that this is working, we'll go background orange 400. Yep. I'll remove that. I won't worry about any padding here. We'll add it within the actual components itself. But for right now, let's go ahead and turn this into a grid. Remember, on large devices, I want to have it. On large devices, I want to have a column on the left, and which will represent the personal information, and on the right will be all of my experiences. So we'll say on small devices, we can just keep it to one column. So we'll go grid columns 1 on small devices, and on large devices, we'll go grid columns 12. So then we'll remove this. We'll turn this into a aside. We'll go personal info. And we'll turn this into a component eventually, but for right now, this will be suffice. We'll go class name, give it a little bit of padding of 6, space on the Y of 4, and on large devices, I want the columns to span 2, and by default, it will automatically span 1, which is fine on small devices. So just to kind of see what this looks like, we'll go background neutral for 200, click save, and so all right, so we're on a small device right now. So as you can see, I have a small view, I should say, presented on screen. So as you can see, the color is taking the neutral, is taking the entire screen. But if I shift over to the desktop view, it actually is exactly how I want it, where we have the initial column to the left, and there are the additional, I think, 10 columns on the far right. So this is going to represent the personal information with my name, brief description of me. We'll have education, we'll have job experience, and on the right we'll have the about, we'll have the skills, we'll have projects, and I'll add a little footer at the bottom. And we'll continue to evolve this as it progresses on, but for right now this will be a good start. So within the I prefer that stick, but it's okay. So within the aside, let's go ahead and add in a header component. So within the client directory, we'll add a directory name aside, and then we'll also add a directory name main. So obviously the aside is going to hold certain content and the main is going to hold everything else. So within the aside, we'll add a header.tsx. We'll use the React snippet shortcut of RFCE. May not be able to use that within this. Let me see. I have to remember I'm not in a local, I'm in a virtual environment. So just bear with me. So we'll go export default function. We'll name this header. We'll give it a return. Inside of the return, we'll have header. We'll go header. Click save. In the page.tsx, I'm going to import header. And that should be coming from component/portfolio client aside header. And then in the aside, we'll bring in the header. Click save. And as you can see, we now have header on screen, and I'll remove the background color just to give it make it a little easier to see. Great. So we'll go back to the header component and begin to style it out a little bit. All right. So to kick it off, let's start by giving a little bit of space on the Y of 1. Make sure that's space while I was change it to 10. Alright, cool. Alright. And then inside of the header, let me move that to just one. I just want to make sure it's working. Inside of the header, what's going on? How you doing? Good. We'll start with the H1, which will represent my name. So I'm not going to worry about my name right now because I don't even have my portfolio or my resume on me. But we'll just name this the J.A. Dad. Okay. See that on screen. We'll give it a class name. We'll set the text size to 4XL. We'll make the font bold. We'll add tracking to be typed. Click save. There we go. I actually think we probably ought to shrink that size a little bit on smaller devices. see what it looks like on the desktop. So it's okay on a large device, but let me reduce it on the small. So we'll just put LG there, and then on small devices we'll make the text, let's make it so it looks like that 2XL. Okay, that's not bad. Didn't want it to be too large on small devices to kind of dominate the entire view, but that looks to be okay for right now. Once we deploy it, we'll check it, and if we need to reduce it, we always can. But right now we're in development. We have the live website listed right here, the portfolio site. It's deployed on Vercel. What I have on screen is the Gitpod VS Code that I'm accessing online. And right now I haven't made any commits to GitHub outside of the initial. Since I started this stream, haven't made any commits to GitHub, just basically building it out in development first. And once we like it in development, we'll create an entire branch with just the portfolio UI, so we can always go back and make changes if need be. But for right now, this is perfectly fine. Okay. And inside of the H1, we'll add a P tag. This P tag is just going to represent some additional information about me. I'll just call myself a full stack developer. And as I mentioned, this is going to be also my resume. So I'm tailoring it more so to a programmer or a coder, but ultimately I'll go back in and change this once I have my resume handy to kind of reflect more of my work and job experiences, so an employer will get a full picture of my experience that I bring to the table. Okay, sorry about that. So for small devices, we'll set the text size. Let's try large. That looks a little big. We'll just go on large devices. We'll set the text size to be large. That looks to be okay. I do want to change that color to be neutral 600. Okay. And then we'll set the font. Try it light. Mono. Yeah, I'll do that for right now. And the last thing I want to include inside of the header are some links to my LinkedIn, my GitHub, maybe YouTube, but for right now we'll just do LinkedIn, GitHub, and that should be fine. But you know what? I think I probably should include my email contact, so maybe I'll make it email. So within the div, well, first let's give some direction to the div. We'll go flex with a gap of 4, and then we'll say margin top of 2. And we'll need to import link so that we can link out to the various URLs. This is next way. Instead of using an A tag with Next or with React, you can use link, which kind of gives the ability to do, you know what, I don't know if I can use link. I may have to use a tag. We'll use link for right now. And once I update it, if this doesn't work, then we'll just come back and change it. But I can't remember if this will actually link out to an external site or not. But we'll just go with it for right now. We'll go with GitHub. Just copy this. We'll change this to link in. Is it LINK? LinkedIn. And we'll go email. Is that how you spell LinkedIn? I'm not sure. LinkedIn. Yeah, that's it. LinkedIn. Let's give this some styling. Actually, you know what? I think I want to make some change that up a little bit too. We'll go const header is equal to, I'm just going to move the CSS to be outside of the return statement. We'll change this to header, and then we'll put the tailwind there. That way I can keep this UI a little cleaner. And we'll go const, we'll call this sub header. And we'll replace this with this. This, remove this, sub header. Okay, looks great. And then now we'll just add a const for links. We'll call them nav links. Nav links. And then for this, I'll just go ahead and give it a class name of nav links. Sorry, that should be in curly braces. So now let's just style the links a little bit. Yep. We'll just change the text to blue 600. We'll go hover underline. There we go. I think set small. Let's do this. Text. Let's go 6 pixels. It's too small. It's okay. Let's go 16. Let's try 10. I like that a little better. And then on large devices, we'll go text. If that's large, we'll make it medium. Let's see what that looks like. All right, I think that works. I would like that to be on the same line. I think that works. Is it too something? Is it too large? That's not large. This is something else. BG purple. So I think it might be the size of this that's causing that to not. I'll change this to medium. That's what it looks like there. Is it medium on both? So it's already medium. So on small devices, what if we made it text? I did 10 there. Let's try 12 pixels. All right. So if we went large devices, that's okay, that works. I'm not gonna overthink it or try to overcomplicate it, but that works. Let's go margin top there of 1. Perfect. All right, so that concludes the header. Perfect. All right, that works. So now we'll focus on we'll close this out. We'll focus on some of the actual content that'll be listed here along in the same column as the personal information. I'm going to include the job, experience, and education, and eventually something else. But for right now, I think this will be suffice. So within the aside, I'm just going to add a div. Within this div, I think we'll just keep it as it is for right now. But the first thing we'll add in is our experience, and that's just going to be our experience. So we'll add a file within the aside named experience, experience.tsx. And we'll go export default function experience, experience. Return statement. In the return, we'll pass in a section, and we'll go experience, click save, and we'll go back to the page.tsx, we'll import experience, and that's going to come from @/components portfolio. Yep. And then in the div, we'll go ahead and bring in the experience component, click save, and we see it listed there on the screen. Perfect. Okay. Now within the experience component, we're just going to, like I said, just list out our experiences within this view. I'm not going to, well, for right now, this will be just fine. Experiences and jobs, or do I just want to do experience? Yeah, this could be different. So this experience will be experiences that I have or that I may have gained over the years, whether it be freelance and not necessarily employment. But look, make this whatever you want. This will just kind of talk through some of the things that I've done, but I'm not going to, this will just be for demonstration purposes. We'll go back, or I'll go back and update it later, and I'll show that as well too. But for right now, we'll just begin by styling it. So we'll make the text small by default. We'll start there. And we'll change the color to neutral 700. So within the initial H2, this is going to be kind of like the header of this component, if you will, or this section. So we'll just name it experience. Give it a H2 with a class name of text base. We'll make the font semi-bold. We'll make the text for this neutral 800. There we go. All right, here we go. So that will be the category name. Here we'll just have a p tag, and inside I'll include, we'll call it web. We'll call it Kira. Class name, text of extra small. We'll set the color to neutral 600. Actually, let's be consistent. Let's try this as the font size. Sorry. Just want to bring a little consistency to that. So let's see what this this looks like. Yeah, I like that a little better. Then on large devices, it increases a little bit. We can always play with that if need be, but I think that works. I may see if there's a template that kind of gives me those sizings without me having to kind of eyeball it, if you will. But we'll go. Actually, we'll go 2022 present. Let's add a divider like that. That works. And then within this one, we'll say p tag. We'll just add in maintain, build, design, build, and maintain website. That's the class name of this. So I think if I made that 8, I'll make this, well, excuse me, if I made that 10, I'll make this 8. We'll make the font bold. So why don't I make this semi-bold? We'll just make this bold. I think that works. And then underneath, let's add another div. Let's add another job experience, another experience. We'll go div, place this inside the div like that. And then underneath this div, we'll add a new div. There we go. I think that looks a little better. Give this a little bit of space. Let's add another p tag there. Let's go full stack developer. And we'll add a class name here. We'll make the fonts medium. So how about I make this medium? And we'll make this bold. Alright, that makes a little more sense to me. And then let's just add some space on the Y of 2. And then we'll add a second div. Actually, I'll go ahead and move these now. So we'll go const section. Move this styling. Replace it with section. Inside of this, replace that. Hit save. Great. Notice no difference. Const heading. Remove this. Sit with heading. Paste in this and just to make sure it goes way up. Now paste in the styling. You see it's back. Perfect. And we'll go subheading, const subheading. And this will add subheading. Click save. Okay, looks good. And then finally we'll add description. Const description. And we'll remove this. Replace it with description and then add the styling. Perfect. That's perfect. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so we'll add in a additional job description. So we can just copy this, paste it in. Yeah, that works. What's the name of his full stack? What's the name of his website? I don't have to do much with this one. It's more of a static site, but I can't think of the name of his site right now. So we'll just call it Curtis Enterprise. This was back in 23. We'll change this to call it full stack. No, we'll call it web developer. I think I want this O instead. Alright, that works. What if we added a underline under the H2? I think that works. Yeah, that looks alright. We'll change this to header maybe. We'll just update this to header. Remove this. Change it to header. Click save. Okay. Not yet. Oh no, that is it. That is it. The underline is on the disk. But is it the right? It seems like a little too much space. Let me see something. What if we went margin top one? No, that's not the right one. Sorry. What if we move the header? Leave that a margin top one. Alright, that's a little better. Yeah, that works. I may come back and put this on a row to kind of fill this space up a little bit more, but for right now, this works. So with the experience careful, next up we'll want to update the education, I think. Yeah, I think we'll do education next. Distracted there. So within the, we can close experience out maybe. I'll keep it open for now. We'll close header out. So we'll go back to the components directory. Inside of the aside folder, we'll add a file named education.tsx. All right, so within this one, we'll go ahead and start by creating the export default function named education. Add a return statement. This one, inside the return, we'll add a section, and for right now, we'll just name it education. We'll go back to the page.tsx. Let's import education. And this is going to come from at components portfolio client aside education. And then underneath experience, we'll add in education. Great, and we'll see that listed there. What if I said class flex? Flex direction will be column. COLUMN. No, it's just column, sorry. And what if I gave space on the Y of 3? Alright, that works. So within education, let's start by adding this section. Class name of section. Hit save. Okay, that works. And I think the next thing I'll add is the heading. And that would be H2. Name it education. And we'll give this a class name of heading. This needs to be in color braces, sorry. There we go. So we have an experience and education section. Again, within this one, we could just keep it the exact same as, yeah. I'll just go with the header. Yeah, put that in there, right? Yep. P, class name of header. Go Southern Wesley. Okay. Then we'll grab the sub. P tag. I don't remember the years I was there, but for right now, I'll just give it something. We'll go subheading. And I'll just add bachelor. Achelor. Hey, there we go. See it down screen. So I don't remember the dates for this, but I'll just say we'll just call it 2012 to 2016, maybe. Rough guess. Then let's add the description. We may come back and make this modular. Now that I'm looking at it, I could probably just make this one component and just add a title. Just make this, and we'll come back and refactor, but this will work for right now. Description. Or should this all be on one line? Maybe so. We'll go 2012 to 2016. I think that works. We'll go earned bachelor's in business, business administration. Administration. I don't gotta say earned. I think that's understood. Bachelor's in business administration. Then we'll add one more for the master's. Just update this to be Ashford University. Ashford University. Master's. And this will have to be 2016 to 2018. We'll go Master's in Finance. Finance. Okay, that looks all right. Now we'll always come back and tweak it, but that will work for right now. Reduce some of the padding. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna overthink it. That works. right, so I think the last section will be a job section. So inside a portfolio client, we'll go to jobs. TSX, yeah, this is fine. We'll go export default function jobs. We'll return a section. In this section, we'll just call it jobs. So now let's import jobs into the page.tsx. Import jobs. And underneath education, we'll just add jobs. So now within the jobs component, this is going to be very similar to what we already have. And like I said, I'll come back and make this a reusable component so that we're not typing the same thing over and over, because basically it's the same thing. We're just creating separate sections. So I probably could have just made one component with a title, a header, a subheader, and description, and been done with it. We may do that once we're done, but for right now, let me just finish this out. So within jobs, we'll just add in the section, class name of section. Then we'll need a heading. Make this a H1, class name of heading, jobs. The next will be header. P tag, class name of header. Jobs, do I want to list them here? We'll just go, I'll just make something up for right now. I'll come back and add in, I think the rule of thumb is to do within the last 10 years. But either way, I'll figure out something. So we'll just go developer. No, this needs to be the company name. We'll call it self-employed. Self-employed. We'll name it needs a sub-description. It's going to copy both of these. Give this a P. I'll just call myself a teaching assistant. Subheading. We'll add one more P, which will be the description. This will be provided guidance to students and support to professor. Well, for this, we'll just go 10 years ago. What's that, 2010? It's a current. There we go. So that's going to conclude the personal information section. This is what it looks like on the desktop view, and this is what it will look like on mobile. I may come back, well, it may have to stay like this, but I may come back and move this to a row and have it wrapped. so that there's not so much empty space right here. And the other thing I want to do, actually, I'll go ahead and add some notes. We'll go notes.md. So first we'll do to do items. We'll go refactor aside components to one component. It should have a title, a header, heading, title, header, heading, call description. We'll say make reusable, which won't be an issue. And then what was the other thing? Maybe aside flex wrap in mobile view. And we'll go build items. This is how I like to kind of structure projects to keep up with things as I go. What is it that I want to build that I know I'm going to add to the project that I may not be including right now? What is it that I like to make changes to make my code better and easier for me to read and manage? And if there's some wish list maybe items, I add it into a maybe or a wish list section. But this is something that I like to do for all projects, even if it's a tutorial, to kind of keep track of everything that I want to do to make sure I'm organized and I'm not missing anything. And if it's something that I want to teach, make sure I'm going into enough details. Otherwise, just keeping myself on track and making sure I fulfill everything that I said I was going to do. I know I want to add a filter for tags, PDF download, blog section, personal links. I'll put that with a question mark. So we'll save this because I'll come back to it later. So that's going to conclude the aside that I wanted to add. Next up, I think what we'll do now is we'll focus on the main portion of the portfolio. So within this section, we're just going to have 4 parts. We'll come outside of the aside, and we'll add a section tag. And in the section, I want about. Then we'll have skills, projects, within the section, we'll give it a padding of 6, space on the Y of 4. Let's make that 2. On large devices, I want the column to span 10. We'll set the height to full. And I want to hide any overflow so that it is basically like a piece of paper. We'll set the background color to purple 300. And we see that the column or this section is at the bottom because I have everything in one column on small devices. On large devices, perfect. It is taking up the right portion of the screen, which is exactly what I want. To give it a resume feel where we have the personal information on the left, and on the right we have all of our accomplishments or things we've done. But I do realize that this is not the correct syntax, so let me update that. Alright, so with that, let's shift over to creating the actual components for these sections. First component will be about. So we'll go to the components directory, portfolio. This is a client-facing item, and it's going to be in the main section. So we'll add a file named about.tsx, and we'll go export. Export default function about, add a return and a section. We'll just go about. Now let's import this in the page.tsx. Import about. And then in the about section, we'll just bring in the about component. All right. So the about section is going to be just as it is titled, a simple section that just kind of briefly describes me. May or may not be factual, but for right now, we're just going to roll with it. So with this one, we won't need to make any changes to the section, but within the H2, I'll add about as the title. We'll give this a class name of text to Excel. We'll set the font to semi-bold, CMIBOLD, and we'll give it a margin bottom of 2. We actually can remove that purple now. Go back to the page.tsx, remove this background color. So back in the about section, we'll just add a p tag. We'll give it a class name of text neutral. Let's make this 700. We'll say leading relax, RELAX. A passionate full stack developer with years of experience solving problems and thinking, solving problems and leadership, comfortable with multiple languages and frameworks. That might be a little too light. Let's make that neutral 800. And then on large devices, it is that. Okay, I think that works. And that's it for about. Next up, we have the skills section. I don't think I moved. I did. Experience, education out. In the main directory, let's add a file named skills.tsx. We'll go export default function skills. We'll add a return statement, a section of skills. Actually, I'm going to keep that open. Inside of the page.tsx, let's import skills, and then we'll add it within the section tag underneath the skills comment. I put section skills. I'm sorry. There we go. You see it right there. So like I said, I'm going to come back and refactor a lot of this because as I'm building it, I see a few things I could do to reduce some of this code that I'm writing. But let me, I'll start a little bit now, but we'll come back later and refactor it. But for right now, let's just get this built and then up on the web. So I'm gonna go back to the about component and let me just build in, remove some of this CSS, this tailwind from within the return statement. Description. So I want this portion to remain consistent. Description. This. Just add description. Alright, so about still looks good. So I'm just going to copy this header and description that is in about. I'm going to add it to the skills directory. So the skills directory, I'm going to have something on screen for right now, but this component will be what we'll use to filter projects because I'm going to add in pagination. Let me make sure I include pagination. Pagination. Actually move this up. Oh, and suspense. I want to add suspense. Suspense. I'm not worried about search, but I do want to add these items. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it to this so I don't forget. This is just something that I know I need to do, but I'll come back to that as well. But for skills, let's go ahead and add in the H2, which will represent the header, or is the header. We'll name this section skills. Underneath it, what I want is, so I'm actually not going to use description in this. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create an array, of skills, loop through them, and display them on screen. Eventually, all of this is going to be connected to a database, and we'll create our own dashboard that's going to allow us to update our skills and content at whatever frequency we want. So it won't necessarily be hard coded in; it'll be dynamic, which is why I want to leverage suspense so that as it's pulling information from the database, we have something that's being loaded and shown on screen. So we'll go ahead and add in the array of skills, and obviously this isn't a full list, but I just want to have something, so I'm just going to add JavaScript script, and then we'll also add Next.js, since that's what we're using. Const if it helps if you name it skills. There we go. All right, so what we want to do now is just loop through this array of skills and present a tag looking item for each skill. So we'll add a unordered list. We'll say skills.map, and for each skill, well, each of these skills, we're going to name it skill. Then for each one, what I want to do is present a list item. Good old LI. And what we'll pass in is the skill, just to make sure we get something on screen. And let's see. It's actually throwing me an error. What is wrong? Class name of flex. Oh, they didn't give it a key. Sorry, I need to add a key to this. The key will be skill. There we go. And as you can see, we have JavaScript and Next listed there. So we'll just style it a little bit. So for the unordered list, we'll go flex wrap. Give it a gap of 3. We'll make the text size small and set the color to neutral. Actually, we'll make this gray 800. Okay. Actually, I like it. Let's just keep it consistent. Neutral 800. And then for the list item, we'll give a class name of background color of neutral 100. There we go. is a very light. Okay. All right. So we'll make it neutral 200. We'll give it padding on the X of 3, on the Y of 1. Makes it a little bigger. Perfect. And we'll just make it rounded so that the corners of it are a little more rounded. There we go. And this is what it looks like on the desktop. So those are the skills. You can always add more to it. I think I'll add, just for right now, Python, Java. Actually, Next doesn't belong. Those are the main 3. And we'll go MongoDB, Postgres, SQL. And then what we'll be able to do is eventually we'll add in the ability to filter. So when we click on one of these skills, the project will automatically update or filter, excuse me, with these skills. And I do think, and we'll also, let me make sure, I do want to change that. We're going to make this wrap. So I'll just add it there. Yeah, because I am going to do it. I think there might be a little too much space. But again, I'm not a designer. If there's someone that has the design eye or familiar with website layout, you let me know what you think. I'll take your guidance or your suggestion on it. But for right now, I think that works. This is pretty much it for the skills section. I haven't added any functionality just yet. We'll add that in a upcoming video. Maybe tomorrow is Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Let's go ahead and add in the projects now. So within the portfolio, inside the portfolio, client will go main, and we'll just add a file named projects.tsx. Add a export default function of projects. Add a return statement, a section, projects, and then now let's import this into the main page.tsx. Import projects, and then within the projects directory, we'll just go ahead and bring in that component. And we see it listed there. Perfect. So within the projects directory, this is just going to be where we showcase all of our projects. This is strictly a rough draft. I do intend to add more to it eventually, but this is just going to be enough to kind of get us going for right now. And I may reduce this text size a little bit so it's a little more consistent with what we have on the personal information column, but I'll come back to that. What? All right, I think we are still good. If we aren't, my apologies, but I'm pretty sure we're still good. I'm not sure. Something's going on with my signal. So I just want to make sure everything's good. But apologies, we back. Let's go ahead and knock this out. So now we have the project section, which is kind of like the main portion of the where we'll be highlighting what it is that we're capable of doing. First thing I want to do is create an array of objects that's going to represent the projects. Eventually, like I mentioned before, we'll be pulling this information from a database, but for right now, we're just going to bring it in as a object in JSON format, if you will, and use that as something on screen to represent the project, a personal portfolio of websites built and live on the net. This DESCIPTION, all the way misspelled description. Then we'll add a link. For right now, I'll just keep it to the home page, but eventually it'll be dynamically entered or dynamically pulled from the database. And then we'll add a key of skills, which will correspond with what we had in the skills section. I think this will say JavaScript, and we'll go MongoDB. I'll add one more. Something on the screen. This one will be we'll call it a workout tracker. I haven't actually built this. Well, actually, I think I got a habit tracker. I actually have built this. I just don't think I've shared it, but I will. A personal habit tracker to manage the good, bad, and ugly. And then for this one, we'll go with Postgres. And this is what one is. And I'll call it Python, even though it wasn't built with Python. I need to, but I will include some Python projects, and if any of you are interested in seeing how those are built, I'll be happy to record a live on it. But anyway, let's go ahead and begin to style this section now. First, I need to set the height to 350 pixels because what I want is for it to have its own section, and we'll set the background color to orange 400. There we go. At the bottom, we'll have the pagination. Within this, we'll have the projects in a grid layout. Perfect. Go with a H2, and we'll just name this projects. We'll give it a class name of text2XL. Font will be semi, bold. We'll give it a margin bottom of 4. Okay. Make sure that is consistent with, yeah, it is. I think I lied. I set it to 4, but it should be 2. And then let's just add this here for consistency. Header. All right, now underneath the H2, we'll need a div. This div is going to represent the layout of the projects. So we'll go grid columns On small devices will be 2. On large devices, it will be 3. And we'll give it a little gap of 2. Now I want to loop over the projects array. And for each of the objects, I want to display something on screen. We'll go projects. For each of the projects, we'll map over and name it project. Then we'll add a div. Go ahead and give it a key so React will stop fussing at me. Then for each div, we'll name the inside of the div. I'll go ahead and name you know what, let's do it like this. That will be the card. Then we'll go h2, which will be the name. Oops, project.name, sorry, project.name. And then the p tag will be description. That's project.description. And I think that should cover it. You know what? Let's go ahead and add the link and skills. So for the skills, we'll add another div with a inside the div. Let's go project.skills.map because we are looping over an array within the project itself. We'll need to map over it. And for each of the skills, we'll name it skill. And I want to make this a span. We'll name it skill. It will need a key. Let's give it a key of skill. Hit save. This one, I am missing a div. Let me redo this. So let's go div. I'll go ahead and paste in the layout of it. And then we'll go projects.map. And for each one, we're going to name it project. Inside of this, we're going to create a card, which will be the div. The name, the key of this is going to be project.name. And for each of these, I want to have a H3 to represent the project name, and then a P tag for the project.description. Let's click save. Okay, there we go. All right, so then now underneath the P tag within the div, let me make sure I remain there. Let's add another div. This is going to represent the actual skills. So we'll say flex, set the direction to wrap, give it a gap of 2, margin top of 1. Now within this, here we want to loop over the project.skills, and we want to map each of those skills. We'll name them each one individually skill, and then we'll need to display something. I want to display a span. Inside of it, we'll pass in skill.name. No, it's just skill. There we go. We see those skills listed there. UGL, wow. All right. So that cares for that. And then the last thing I want is a link to link out to the individual project itself. So I'll just create we'll need to import link first. Import link. That's going to come from next link. And then we'll add a link with an href. This will eventually be, you know what, I can just go ahead and make it project.link. Project.link. And then for each one of these, I'll just name it or give it a name of view project. Okay, there we go. It's listed there. So let's go ahead and begin to style this first. So the card itself, so for the div card itself, let's go ahead and give it a class name of border. I want the border color to be neutral 200. Yep. Then we'll go rounded, padding on the Y of 4, on the X of 2, and save. There we go. All right. And on the desktop, it looks like that. Perfect. Okay. That's pretty much the card. So now let's style the project name. I'll just make the text size large. No, I'll make it medium. And on large devices, we'll make the text large, and we'll make the font semi-bold. Save. That's that. The P tag will represent the description. We'll just make the text for this small, and text is going to be neutral 600. Make it 7. All right, that works. I may change the size of this eventually anyway, but I think for right now it's fine. So then we already have the direction set for it. In the span, let's just style it so that it looks more like a tag, if you will. We'll make the text extra small. Okay, we'll give it a background of neutral. Now let's make this gray 200. We can give a padding on the X of 2, on the Y of 1, and we'll just go around it. That covers that. And then last but not least, let's style this link. We'll just give it a text of blue 600. Make it text small. Hover. We'll give it a underline. Margin top of 2, and inline block. in here. Looks pretty good. That works. All right, last but not least, we'll add a footer. Get you boys and girls on your way. Within the, I'll close out project. Actually, you know what? Let me make this, sorry. That looks a lot better. A lot better. All right. So we'll go ahead and close out projects. And now last but not least, let's add our footer. In the main components directory, add a file named footer.tsx. Create an export default function footer. Add a return the footer tag and just name it footer. In the page.tsx. Still good? Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and import footer. And then underneath the footer note or comment, we'll just bring in footer. And we see it listed right there on the screen. So the footer is going to be pretty straightforward, not a whole lot to it. So not going to do anything elaborate or anything big. I'm just going to have a little simple footer. We'll give it a class name of padding top of 10. I'll give it a border top. Border to be neutral 200. Okay, you see that there. Make the text small, text center. Set the text to neutral, NEUTR, no, gray. We'll make it gray. Gray 500. And we'll do margin top auto. Okay. And then in the footer, I'll just go at 2025 DJ. Hey dad, built with Next.js. Save. Alright, so that's pretty much the footer. Alright, that works. I do think I will come back and adjust the size of this so that the font size is a little more consistent. But let me poke around and see if someone was gracious enough to kind of give me a guide on that. I'm not a design and style guy by any means, but I think this works for right now. Let's go ahead and let's push it to get it on the live website. So it is Control Z. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and push this to Git. So we're going to Git add space the dot, and we'll go Git commit. Portfolio. There we go. And then we'll do git push. So I'm going to run npm run dev to start it back on the local server. Also going to check Vercel because it should be pushed there as well. There we go. As you can see, it is published out on the web. This is our actual website, portfolio site. This is development. So as you can see, it took those changes without an issue. So in the next video, we're going to either go ahead and we'll probably go ahead and connect it to MongoDB and begin to build out the dashboard. Let me add that to, how did I forget that? Here. To database. Let's go update. This is just another way to update Git. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed it thus far. I will probably be back later on this evening to do JavaScript fun stuff, but I did want to, I do want to keep this going as something that I'm doing just on the side, but I'll be back later on. I'm pretty sure to go over some JavaScript stuff. So then, stay safe.